Hello everyone, as you can see today in the introduction we are going to talk about studio photography, and one specific style that I love to do these days is motion blur in studio. It's so hot today in Korea. It's not specifically hot, but it's so wet. I'm like sweating just right there, so I will try to remove as much of my face as possible. I'm sorry for that. Let's get back into the video. I will explain you from one of the recent shooting that I've done with Thibaut, from one of the recent shootings on YouTube where I did film photography in a studio for those scared to start. Let's get directly into the video, that will be easier to explain you. More videos are coming later, and I've got a new flash that a brand just sent me, and I'm gonna have to make a video about it, and I'm pretty excited for the next pictures coming with it. So don't forget to subscribe. So we are in Seoul. First things you have to do is obviously to rent a studio. Lucky me, in Seoul you can get plenty of studio extremely cheap with a white background and flash for free, let's say included, for about like $15 per hour, which makes it very fun and nice to play with the studios and try and practice, and also getting a better portfolio for you, which is actually what I'm doing, and it's pretty cool. For this technique with the pictures that you can see here, you need at least two sources of light. You're gonna have one continuous light and one flash. I think that will be the bare minimum. You can also do it only with continuous light, but I think it might look a little bit more professional if you include flash. But be careful, if you add a lot of different strobes and continuous light, your scenes might end up very hard to manage. So try first with one flash and one continuous light, and you can already get pretty nice result. This is what I did for my first shooting with the model that we asked again to come for us. And I want to talk about Hasselblad. That's the one you're gonna see on the pictures, and you can go check her account. Why I tell you that you need one continuous light and one flashlight? Because the light that will reach your sensor will do it by two different ways. The flash are supposed to freeze the picture. So normally, technically, you are not supposed to be able to have a moving footage on your camera. The continuous light will be continuously giving you light, and then all this light will be reflected into the sensor in your picture at the end. So to summarize, you use flashlight to freeze the movement and to get a sharp image of your subject, and continuous light to give the atmosphere and a ghosty effect of your subject. To do this, the best way first is to kill the continuous light of your scene. You can either use a very small aperture and a very low ISO, which is most of the time what we do in studio photography to get the best quality out of your camera, or basically just turning off all the light in your studio. It will be a little bit harder for you to focus, so you're gonna have to switch on your camera if it's possible to not show you the settings apply without the flash, because then your picture will be totally dark and it will be very hard for you to focus. So for this, you're gonna have to check your camera and your setting in particular. Another tips that you don't have to forget when you do this is to remove the model light from the flash, because if you do that, you're gonna have a continuous light appearing on the subject where you want it to be frozen. So it's very, very, very important to only have the light that you want to use as a ghost effect, as a motion blur, to appear on your scene. You don't want the light from the flash to be continuous, so to have the prop light, the modeling light. So you want to be sure you turn enough to control totally the light that will be in your scene. The studio will be quite dark, but it will give a specific mood that sometimes helps your model to be into the atmosphere of the place. Then, when you can focus properly, if you are using film photography, which I also did with the Hasselblad just right there, then you can just use the manual focus and manage your focus the same way you are doing it every time. Once you reach this step, let's talk about setting up your light. The best and the easy way to do it will be to set up each light one by one. Me, in this last shooting, I try to use a lot of different lights to have a lot of different effects, but keep in mind you can also use one flash and one continuous light. That will be the best for you to progress and understand what's happening with your light. First, I think we can try with the continuous light. For example, me, in different situations, I was using just this one, the Nikkor TL60, which is powerful enough to be able to balance with the flash. It's a 60 watt, so I was mostly using it at full power, and that was okay. Then you're just gonna have to set up your setting that you want on your camera and then take pictures. For the setting, at first, if you want to see how it looks like and to have a motion blur, the most important, obviously, is to introduce motion through your camera. So for me, for example, most of the time, I'm using the shutter speed about 1/10 of a second, 1/30 of a second, but not much more. and then I will move the camera or the subject to get the effect that I want. You can try by taking pictures and moving your camera and see how long the light and the ghosty effect will affect your pictures on your subject. So what you could do is having this from the back or on the side, just to have the side of the face or the back with the silhouette that will be highlighted by the colors over here with the motion blur effect. And once you got what you want, you can start using the flash. So then you set up the flash the way you want. Most of the time I will recommend you to use a grid to not have the flash spreading everywhere in your studio. It will help the light to be focused on your subject, and then you can put it the way you want, and just enough to highlight the face and not having the background too much highlighted. You can also use negative board, which we call V-flat, I always forget this, V-flat on the other side if you don't want the flash to be reflected against the wall, and back on the other side of your subject. This is how you control the light, but I think I'm gonna have to make a video specifically about this one day just to explain you everything about studio photography. And then when you have something more or less set up the way you want, you're gonna have to practice a lot. This is why you need also a lot of time to practice and try different light, to put the light at different place, to try a different color, to try to color the background, to try different flash, to be sure you have the subject properly frozen in your picture. And this is how you will get what you want. I know that I need at least 30 minutes of warm-up just to be sure I get the light that I was looking for. Because it's a tricky process and you never really see how the light will affect your camera until you take the picture, specifically when you use flash, which can be a little bit hard to understand at the beginning. I understand, I went through that. For a film camera, it's more or less the same thing. Most of the time I will consider pushing to 1 or 2 stop your film just to be sure you get the proper light compared to your digital camera, but at the end it's pretty much the same. And I think we are done right here. That was pretty basic. I just wanted to show you this technique because I'm very proud of the pictures I've done, and finally I can share it on Instagram, so don't forget to check the Instagram and to subscribe, and I will see you around. That was Antoine. Thanks for watching. Ciao.